Skywatch Media News for the first week of May 2018. There are changes in the sky that very few are aware of or even pay attention to. There are new names being given for strange clouds, for unusual auroras, for immense sun halos, for eerie colors that appear in the sky, and for all types of odd weather phenomena. The scientists say that these observations are rare and only happen in particular situations. People hear these explanations and they accept that they are perfectly normal. But here is the breaking news about these atmospheric anomalies. They are not normal, and they never will be. If you take the time to look up, you will know that our sky is changing. There are noticeable changes happening also in the solar system. The radiance of planetary bodies is increasing. Something is causing an increase in energy distribution across the solar system. But where are these particles coming from? Something is also causing the much enlightened luminosity of the Moon and Venus. In the meantime, the Sun is losing measurable energy output, and it has been for several years now. These observations make little sense, and yet there is one thing that is certain. Things are changing rapidly. The drastic Earth changes and the relevant signs emanating from the sky will usher in the destroyer of civilizations, both past and future, a significant presence that is hidden in the mystery of the ages. The arrival of Planet X into our solar neighborhood could explain the incredible changes we see developing today. A celestial body, many times the mass of Earth, traveling through space, is capable of attracting asteroid and comet fragments, in addition to carrying a vast cloud of charged red particles that remain suspended outside of the system's magnetic field. I referenced at the onset of this presentation that anomalies are appearing in the sky, which are classified as rare or very unusual. As the debris field of a massive system approaches, it begins to sling a fine red dust towards the Earth's atmosphere, creating astonishing red skies at sunset, misty purple clouds, and a reddish-orange glow in the atmosphere. As it approaches, the harbingers of its presence become more apparent. It all begins with an intensified earth wobble and its accompanying weather anomalies, an increase in volcanic and seismic activity, increased sinkholes, and the cracking and expansion of the Earth's crust. The erratic movement of the Moon and planets along the ecliptic plane, and an increase in the appearance of earth-shattering fireballs and meteors. Maybe you noticed that the media doesn't say much about these events. They're rather dismissive of them. How many times have you heard them say, "It's normal"? Well, it's nature at work. There is nothing to worry about. Trust us. That is what they always tell us until an unprecedented disaster strikes, whereby all those comforting words become meaningless. What really matters is trusting your own instincts rather than relying solely on reassuring words. In late March, a number of news agencies reported on the orange snow phenomenon across Eastern Europe. The official cause of the extreme event, according to authorities, was believed to be the result of sand and dust carried into the atmosphere from storms that originated in the North African desert. NASA imagery was provided that purportedly showed sand drifting across the Mediterranean at that time. And yet, according to a Russian environmental watchdog, the orange-brownish snow was caused by a large deposit of iron nitrates from the upper atmosphere. The fact that each statement fails to corroborate the other makes the storyline about this incident quite interesting. A similar explanation was given about the red skies over the United Kingdom in October of 2017. According to statements made by London's Met Office, Hurricane Ophelia carried the sands of the Sahara into the upper atmosphere and then into northern Europe, distributing the particles across the UK. British residents were recalling a bad smell in the air during the unusual event, an odd odor similar to burning sulfates. When asked about the strange smell, the Met Office tried to explain it away as the smell of the tropics, a combination of high humidity and the oxygen of tropical foliage. In these incidents of reddish skies and orange-color snow, there is the question of reasonable doubt as to the actual cause of either event. If desert sand was the culprit, then how does this explain iron residue in the Russian snow or the smell of burning sulfates in the UK? Neither of these components is present in the composition of sand, which is comprised of silica, usually in the form of quartz. With each conflicting story, a decision awaits us. We accept their explanation as given to us, or we trust our own instincts and intuition. In each instance, we must choose carefully. One of the signs that points to a planetary upheaval can be found with the frequency and the severity of crustal displacement, the upward movement of the Earth resulting in giant fissures across the world that continue unabated. Emanuel Velikovsky, in his book entitled Earth in Upheaval, gave a vivid presentation of our geological past and the cataclysmic evolution of the Earth. There is a geological event that is happening right now as I speak in south-central Washington state in a place called Rattlesnake Ridge. At this location, a giant fissure is slowly expanding at the rate of 1.5 feet per week. The slow landslide is a potential catastrophe in the making, but surprisingly, it has received very little media coverage. The fissure was first spotted near the Yakima River back in October of 2017. Since that time, roughly 20 acres of the mountainside have been slipping downhill at a speed of 2.5 inches per day. The following drone footage from earlier this year shows the magnitude of the evolving fissure. Extreme weather events have been felt across the planet in 2018, and it's expected to get worse. According to scientists, it is a sign of our future. The communities of today were built for the climate of yesterday, a climate that no longer exists. The once-in-a-thousand-year storms are occurring more frequently. Last month, the rain gauges in Kauai, Hawaii were overflowing when torrential rains engulfed the island. According to the National Weather Service, 50 inches of rain fell in 24 hours on April 14th and 15th, an event never experienced in Hawaii's recorded history, dating all the way back to 1905, when records were first kept here. Scientists are warning that the flooding experienced on Kauai is consistent with an extreme rainfall that accompanies a changing atmosphere. The severity of these types of rain events can alter the landscape in devastating ways. In the Kauai flood, many homes, cars, and animals were swept away by the raging waters. Meteorologists have a new name for this type of rain event. They are calling it a rain bomb. More commonly known as a microburst, a rain bomb happens when a cooled, heavy column of air sinks suddenly in the middle of a storm. This downdraft pulls the water droplets down with it with tremendous force. The effects of climate change have caused the upper atmosphere to warm to the degree that it holds much more moisture, which builds up until it meets with cold, dry air, creating a massive, unstable system. The nature reserves and the botanical gardens of the Hanalea Valley were especially hard hit, and they're expected to be shut down for months. These reserves are homes to dozens of endangered plants and birds in which damage to these species will need to be assessed. This valley served as the backdrop for the musical South Pacific, with the sacred mountain Makana towering over the valley as a representation of Bali High in the movie production. Although the flood of 2018 represents the worst natural disaster in Kauai's historical records, it is not the first disaster to hit the island. A 52-foot tsunami struck the island in 1957. In 1982, Hurricane Iwi caused considerable damage to the Garden Island. In 1992, Hurricane Aniki, the most powerful storm in Hawaiian history, destroyed more than 14,000 homes and caused $3 billion in damage. People have called this latest storm a 100-year event. But given the reality of a changing climate, it is more likely that these events will happen much more often. Extreme fluctuation in temperatures across continents is another worrisome sign that our climate is quickly changing. While winter continued to have a grip on the upper Midwest and New England, a tremendous heat dome was parked over a large portion of the European continent. On April 19th, temperatures soared to 85 degrees in London, its warmest April temperature in nearly 70 years. Paris also experienced historically warm April conditions. Its temperature surpassed 82 degrees before April 20th for the first time since 1949. For Paris, it was the fifth highest April temperature in 146 years of measurements. Several locations in France set all-time April highs. The sudden and record-setting heat wave set an extraordinary contrast to the weather conditions just 6 weeks ago, when much of Europe was in a deep freeze called the Beast from the East. Weather anomalies are now occurring in a continual sequence with extreme ups and downs. It's getting to the point where meteorologists cannot distinguish one season from another, a phenomenon referred to as a blending of the seasons, most likely the result of a severe wobble or an abnormal tilting of the Earth's axis. Another weather anomaly that is becoming the new norm are enormous atmospheric disturbances that seem to develop out of nowhere, usually creating a sudden and unexpected surge in wind velocity. On May 3rd, a windstorm of 80 miles per hour suddenly developed across northern and western India, collapsing many homes and trees while killing dozens of people. Violent storms accompanied by heavy rain followed in the wake of the massive dust storm that swept into the region, catching many off guard. Storms of this intensity are a rarity in India this time of year, since monsoon season is still another 6 weeks away. Another indication that the seasons are out of sync. Something is about to happen with the Kilauea volcano on Hawaii's Big Island. The island has been placed on high alert after the USGS recorded a swarm of 250 earthquakes in a 24-hour period, in which 50 were recorded on the morning of May 2nd. Fears are now growing that a life-threatening eruption could be imminent. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory has warned residents to be vigilant, since a vigorous eruption could happen at any moment. Cracks have been developing along a series of roads near the volcano as the magma begins to move in. The state of Hawaii has taken steps to prepare for an eruption and to begin the process of evacuating residents. Kilauea is among the group of volcanoes that could erupt in 2018. There's an update on the situation evolving with the Kilauea volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii. An eruption has occurred on the lower East Rift in the early morning hours of May 4th. Warning sirens sounded across the Big Island, and Hawaii's civil defense is evacuating 10,000 residents. Lava fountains were seen shooting 150 feet into the air, and cracks began opening in the Leilani estates. The eruption began following a 5.0 earthquake which collapsed the crater on Kilauea's East Rift Zone. White hot vapor and blue fume emanated from an area of cracking in the eastern part of the subdivision, all of which are dynamic fissure eruptions. The area is being monitored by volcanologists 24/7. This footage is showing a long line of hot lava gushing into the air out of a long crack that has developed on the surface. When is the last time you heard someone say, "I sure miss the good old days"? I'm sure you hear it quite often. Although you may still long for those days, they are but a fond memory. Your reality is here and now, in a time when everything has been turned upside down, where nothing seems to make sense, where the world just isn't what it used to be. Because the world is quickly changing, you then begin to pay much closer attention to the events that surround you. As the world revolves, so does everything that exists in the heavens. As we look to the sky, we do so with the understanding that the knowledge of the ages is contained within a spiritual realm that dwells in the heavens. And it is from this place that all knowledge shall be revealed unto those who seek guidance and the truth of all things. Stay safe and keep looking to the sky. Thanks for watching.